What's going on, Spurs fans? With another NBA draft behind us, we have a lot to talk about with our number 2 pick, Dylan Harper, and our number 14 pick, Carter Bryant, both lottery picks. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and let's get right into it. All right, Spurs fans, so getting right into it, we're going to be starting off with Dylan Harper. As you guys know, he went second overall after Cooper flagged to the Mavericks. So looking at Dylan's, we've already talked about him a little bit, but he is a 6'5" guard out of Rutgers, 213. So a pretty stocky kid. I say kid because he's 19, and he was a freshman last year with Ace Bailey, his counterpart, who ended up going number 5 to Utah. So a summary, Harper is a big-bodied lefty combo guard with NBA blood in his veins. As the son of Ron Harper, I do hear he's very strong with his left hand. He's a 20 at 5-5 guy, so he can do a little bit of it all. Like his father, Harper has a high floor with the skill, poise, and playmaking instincts to dictate the game at his pace, but the fate of his jumper will determine whether he's an all-star. So again, most rookies have shooting questions coming out of college. Not anything new. From what I hear, Dylan is explosive. He has a pretty strong body, and he has a father. It runs in his veins that was in the NBA, so that's awesome. Comparisons are to Darren Williams, if you guys remember him, and Cade Cunningham, more recent in today's game. So you see his stat line, pretty awesome overall. Awesome on the defensive end, which I hear is one of his strengths as well. So speaking of strengths, he's crafty at the rim. All right. Very good at finishing, which is awesome. That kind of reminds me of a little bit of Tony Parker. I'm sure Tony can help him out, grow that part of his game. Poise, ball handling. That's, I think, something that we're really going to need, not just from Dylan if he ends up starting, but from Steph, from all of our guards in general, and just really everybody. If you have the ball, patience. I keep hearing Steph say patience in the paint. So Dylan's going to have to learn more, but it's good that he already has a good foundation with poise, ball handling. Playmaking. This is where I hear he's the strongest. He's just an explosive player. It really reminds me of Russell Westbrook in that regard. You can kind of see, oh, let me move this actually so I can show you guys if there's any highlights that keep playing. Sorry about that. All right. So, spot up shooting, right? We really need that. That's always going to be something that really spaces out the floor, especially for Wemby. And he's making 36.8% chance overall. I think is that from 3-point? No, it's just overall. So that's gonna have to go up, to be honest with you. But from what I hear, his defensive upside is big. So what earns minutes in the Spurs is defense and being good at it. That's what happened with Kawhi. So Dylan's gonna have to earn his time on the defensive end, but that's gonna translate so much to the confidence he gets on the offensive end. So concerns. Shooting it, I mean, even without even seeing the concerns, I could tell that percentage was pretty low. 27.8 shooter on dribble jumpers and 29.2% from 3. Yikes. So that's just going to be tough. You're going to have to get your shooting percentage up, my guy. And, we don't have Chip England anymore, so it's a little bit tougher for the Spurs. Burst. So I guess off the dribble, not that explosive, right? Maybe in transition and whatnot, but off the dribble, he needs to work on his burst. And lateral quickness, that goes hand in hand with his defense. So maybe defensively, he's a good decision maker, right? He's very patient, but he's going to have to be able to move those feet really well. So that's Dylan. Again, comparisons go to Darren Williams of the Utah Jazz, who's now retired, and Cade Cunningham of the current Detroit Pistons. Two pace-controlling guards, if you really think about it, right? And very, very high offensive guards as well. So looking at Carter Bryant, he's a 6'7" forward out of Arizona, 215. So pretty long and lanky. He's a freshman, age 19. Both of these guys, I believe, are 19 years old. Yes. And Steph Castle's still 20. So the Spurs are very, very young. So summary is that Bryant is a rangy, athletic forward who projects as a highly versatile defender. I did make a video on Carter, so if you want to check that out. But what's done is done in the draft. He's raw on offense, though. Beyond his cutting, he needs to improve as a shooter to earn minutes in high-leverage games. This sounds to me like Kawhi Leonard, right? More a defensive-minded person who doesn't really have an offensive game, very raw, but can develop how, the trajectory as an offensive player. So comparisons are to Jeff Green and Trey Murphy III. Two more role players, as you might know, and that's what Carter's going to really have to accept early on, is that, hey, I'm going to be a role player. But that doesn't mean that he can't be a superstar. Who knows with anybody nowadays, right? So his pretty low stats, but I do believe that he was more of a role player, maybe even a bench player in Arizona, but good enough to come out of his freshman year and hit the lottery. So I think we landed a really good one with this guy. So strengths are that he is able to cut very well. We're definitely going to need that with that forward position, especially when Wemby's needing help. We're going to have shooting and cutting. So speaking of spot up shooting, he's a solid 3-point shooter, so that is awesome. I think he's going to get big minutes with that. 45.5% of his threes over his final 6 games. Okay, not bad, right? So he ended hot. Confidence. And low free throws, so we'll have to get better at that. But overall, he has it in him with 88.3% as a senior in high school. So we'll see. So defensive upside, right? The build 6'7", I believe, right? 6'7", 215. That's just what you want from a wing. So his size, strength, and quickness, he projects as a player who could switch across multiple positions. Basketball is pretty much positionless now. But he must learn fundamentals and avoid mistakes. But long-term, he has all the tools. That sounds like a Spur in the making, Carter. I'm excited for this team. If we don't win a championship next year, I really do think that we can. But that's just my inner Spurs fan, right? So, concerns, shot creation, right, which they already touched on, just overall shooting. I think 3-point was pretty solid, but towards the end. But other than that, he needs to work on his shooting, and you do have to be able to shoot in the NBA to make it. Defense is important, but what really gets you going is your shot making, right? So, shooting dynamism, I don't know what that is. So, he's a solid shooter from a standstill, but doesn't hit threes off of movement or off the dribble yet. Okay, interesting. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and I guess we'll stop there, guys. So let me know what you guys think of the 2 prospects. Obviously Dylan Harper is number 2 and Carter's number 14, so it's just a little bit of a stretch in their talent, but nonetheless, let me know what you guys think, what role they can fill on the Spurs. It's gonna be an exciting year. Are they gonna win a championship? I hope so. And I mean, if all things line up, yeah, they can, but let's be realistic. I'm hoping for the playoffs next year, honestly. I really am. A playoff year would be a very big win for us, and I want to get to where the Thunder are, if I'm being honest. So be patient, build it the right way, and the Spurs will be in a great spot as they already are. So thank you guys so much. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe again, and we will talk later. More Spurs, all things Spurs. See you guys.